Hello. How are ya? Today is pumpkin pie day. So, these are called pie pumpkins. To me, this is just a small jack-o'-lantern. I'm not using this pumpkin because I make a lot of pies. This one is my pie pumpkin. So, I have to cut it up, dice it, put it in the pot, and cook it. So, I shall return. So, I have an assistant, my handsome husband again. He cuts the pumpkin up the last few years for me because my hands are not all that great. So he's over here getting the pumpkin ready, and he's going to pass me the slices and I'll cut them up. So I've seen a lot of people make pies, and a lot of times they cut the top off and they scoop out the innards. Not necessary. All you have to do is leave all the innards in and cut them out as you're cutting each slice. So much more time consuming to scoop the whole pumpkin out. I'll show you what I mean. So, you just leave the innards in and you carve them off. You cut them off with your knife. So much easier, I find. I mean, if you're used to a certain way and you do it that way, then that's fine. But it's so much easier, I find, to just, rather than taking the time to scoop it for half an hour, just cut it off, each individual piece. I need a big pot because I have a big pumpkin. So, I'm on my last one. Then the exciting stuff starts. As you can see, my pot floweth over. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut up enough to fill this pot, and then I cut the rest up and I freeze it so that I can make pumpkin pies throughout the year. So, I filled the pot up with hot water over the pumpkins after you wash them, of course. And then, but you don't fill it completely up to the top because once they cook, they squish down. And I don't want to take the chance of it boiling over. So that's on the stove now, and it's going to cook, and it's going to take a while. And I've got all these neat pumpkin seeds. My granddaughter likes me to roast them in the oven, but we're going to have a pumpkin carving contest next. Not really a contest, but an annual pumpkin carving just get together. And there's going to be lots of seeds up from that. So I'm going to take these and I'm going to feed them to the birds. The crows, the blue jays, and probably raccoons at night. Whatever's left over, the raccoons will get it. So, yeah, there will be lots left over from the pumpkin carving in a week. So as you can see, I have the pumpkin on a hard boil, and it's got to boil until it's very soft. So that's the stage I'm at now. I have my pumpkin all cooked and ready. The next step is I have to strain it because you need all the water out of it. You don't want soggy pies. So I have all my ingredients here, I think. So you need brown sugar, white sugar. You can use all white sugar if you want, but I'm gonna add some brown sugar. You need nutmeg and cinnamon, and I use heavy cream. I have a sister who uses milk. It's whatever you prefer, but I prefer the heavy cream, and eggs. So I use a blender. I don't have a food processor, but I assure you that a food processor would probably work just as well, but I don't have one. And I think a lot of people do use food processors. It beats the old-fashioned mashing. When you mash them with a potato masher, you get lumps, and this makes a smooth cream pie. Pumpkin cream custard, I guess. Custard pie. So, I have to do it in blenderfuls because it all won't fit in. So, I put in some pumpkin. And I add some cream, and I do not measure. I just do it. And not a lot of nutmeg because it's really strong. So, and some cinnamon. I did use a measuring spoon for the nutmeg, but I just want it to get a little bit out, not a lot. So I'm gonna pour a bunch of cinnamon in there. Actually, I think what I'm gonna do is pour some in the pot as well, as for spices, because I don't have to add it to the blender each time. I can just do that. And I need some white sugar. And some brown sugar. And each time I do the blender, it's all going to go into one pot, so it will mix evenly. And some eggs. I should get a bowl. There'd be nothing worse than taking a bite of pie and having a shell. Ew. So I'm going to put 3 eggs in this one blender full. I usually use between 9 and 12 eggs for my pie batches. And the more eggs you use, I think, the creamier your pie is going to be. So, I'm going to use the blender. It's going to be noisy, so I'm going to pause the video and I'll be right back. So the first blender full is ready. So I'm just going to pour that in another pot, and I'll keep pouring each blender full in there and mix it all up, because some will have a little bit more ingredient than the other, but this way it'll all get mixed up. So I already put some cinnamon and nutmeg in the pumpkin, and I'm not sure if I'm going to need more or not. Heavy cream. Pumpkin pie is not a pumpkin pie without heavy cream. And I'm going to put 3 eggs in this one. One more egg to make 3. I think I'm going to be using closer to a dozen eggs. So I'll blend this up. Forgot the sugar. Oops. Now I'll blend it up. It blends up so easy in there. Just smooth, like a milkshake. That's 2. Okay, I'm going to add a little more cinnamon because my men like their cinnamon. Some cream. 3 more eggs. And I must not forget the sugar this time. I must not. Years ago, like 20 years ago, I made pumpkin pies. I went to all this trouble, and we went to eat them, and I forgot the sugar. Seriously, I forgot to put sugar in them. So I sprinkled sugar on top, but it was not the same. Wasn't the same. Not the same at all. I don't think I need to add as much sugar because there's already a bunch of sugar in the other ones. Blend it. And batch number 3. And the last is just a little tiny bit. So I don't know if I'm not gonna add any more spice. I'm not gonna add any more sugar. I'll put a little bit of cream, not too much, and 1 egg. So in this one I use 10 eggs. Usually I use 9, but like I said, between 9 and 12. Depending on how big my pumpkin was. I can't even talk today. And that pumpkin was quite large. Now this little bit is a lot less, or a lot lighter in color because I didn't put any spices in. But once I mix it all up in here, it'll all be the same color. You stir all your pumpkin together and get it mixed up. Preheat your oven to 450. Yes, I said 450 because the pie crust is not baked ahead of time. You put the wet pumpkin filling in there. You don't, oh, my phone. Okay, the pumpkin pie. Yes, I'm making a pumpkin pie. Yes, what was I saying before my phone rang? The pumpkin is wet. You put the pie custard, I guess, in your crust, and you cook it for 10 minutes on 450. Then you drop the temperature down to 400 and cook it the rest. But for the first 10 minutes, 450, it helps to bake the crust fast so that it's not soggy. So I have crusts, and I also have tart shells. So I'm going to make a bunch of those too. And I have 3 kids, so each one always expects a pie. So I have to make one for each one of my kids, and one for my husband. I'm not sure if I should say this or not, but yeah, I'm going to. We eat pumpkin pie for breakfast. Yeah, we do. I don't anymore because I quit sugar, but it's not near as unhealthy as sugar cereal, so, you know, pumpkin pie, yeah, we do it. I have a lot of pumpkin. Oh, my phone again? It's not for me, so I'm not answering it. Turns out that phone call was for me. Wasn't a very long one. So anyway, we're back to making pies. So I'm on number 3. I do have a lot of pumpkin in this pot, which I'm glad to see because the pies will be nice and full. I don't like filling them right to the top because they overflow in your oven. I know you can put a tray underneath them, and I usually do, but still, you got to clean that tray. So I don't like them overflowing. Number 4. And then I'll do some tarts. I'm going to need a smaller scoop for the tarts because that's too big. I have this tiny little ladle and it works really well, so I really like it. 1 scoop per tart. Oh wow, look at that. You want to get as much of that pie filling as you can. Don't want to waste any. It's so good and very time consuming to make. It's not like opening up a can of pumpkin. I've never liked canned pumpkin pie. A lot of people do, and that's, you know, to each his own, but I don't. And my daughter's used to mine, and her husband is used to his mother's, and apparently she uses canned pumpkin, and they argue, my mom's pumpkin pie is better than yours. No, my mom's pumpkin pie is better than yours. Try it. Here, try mine. And it's funny, and it's all what you're used to, you know. But I'm just glad that my kids like mine. I don't normally put as much spice in as I did today because I have a problem with spices with my stomach, so I would just make them with either no spice or little spice. I don't eat it anymore, so I just figured I'd please them and put in all the spices that they like. So I put in more than I would normally put in if I was eating some. And then there would be times when I'd make a pie with no spice in it just for me. But like I said, I quit sugar and I don't need it. I don't need any pumpkin pie. My kids and my husband would say, good, more for us. I think I have enough for one more if I scrape and scrape and scrape. And then in the oven they go for the first 10 minutes. And because I don't use a recipe, I'm not sure how long I leave them in. Could be 20 minutes, could be more than that. After I lower the temperature down to 400. But I just look at them and I know when they're done. So there you have it. So 4 pies and 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 tarts. Yes! That's so cool. So, until they're done, I shall say sayonara. Oops, I think I said that wrong. It's sayonara. Whatever it is, I'm not good at saying it. So, the pies are all done. They're all baked. And the tarts are all done. And they smell delicious. And they look yummy. And my assistant says they're really good because he had a tart. So now it's delivery time. So, till next time, toodly-doo.